Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's my privilege to call Dr. Ashish Kumar, who is a senior consultant and professor in Department of Gastroenterology at Sir Ganga Ram Hospital, to deliver a talk on role of chemotherapy in advanced SCC, current trends and future perspective. Dr. Ashish, please.
Yeah, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, Dr.
Yeah.
Ashish.
So at the outset, I would like to thank the organizers, especially Dr. Mukul, for giving me an opportunity to speak in this important conference. So my topic is role of chemotherapy in advanced HCC, current trends and future perspectives. So before going into the topic, first I would like to recapitulate about the BCLC staging. So BCLC staging is the most commonly used staging for hepatocellular carcinoma, where the HCC is divided into five stages. One is very early stage, where there is the very small tumor less than 2 centimeter, and the performance status as well as the liver functions are adequate. Second stage is early stage, where either the solitary tumor is more than 2 centimeter, or there are multiple tumors, but all of them are less than 3 centimeter. And again, performance status and there's preserved liver function. Then intermediate stage is where there's multinodular HCC at many places with preserved liver function. Then advanced stages, HCC, where there's either microvascular invasion or extrahepatic spread. And the last stage is the terminal stage, or the end, where there is non-transplantable HCC along with end-stage liver function, or is with poor performance status. The estimated survival also depends on this BCLC staging. With the early stage, the estimated survival with treatment is more than 5 years. With intermediate stage, it is about more than 2 years. With advanced stage, it is in months. And in terminal stage, it is in less than 3 months. The treatment of BCLC, HCC has been rapidly evolving over time, and even uh, in last few years, there has been rapid addition of modalities as well as drugs. So what I'm going to present is the treatment modality that has been given in the latest ESMO guidelines, which was published just a few weeks ago on 5th of March. This is the updated guidelines on treatment of hepatocellular carcinoma. So according to the latest ESMO guidelines, for early stage, the treatment is either ablation, resection, or liver transplantation. But if these are not feasible, you can also go for SBRT, TACE, or TARE. For intermediate stage, the treatment of choice would be TACE. But if TACE is not feasible, some of these patients can also be considered for liver transplantation. If some with preserved liver function can be taken up for resection, then TARE is there. And if none of these is possible, then we can also go for systemic therapy. For advanced stage, the treatment of choice would be systemic therapy, but some of these patients can also be taken up for TARE. And for terminal stage, the best supportive care is the only treatment options. So my topic for today's presentation is for treatment for advanced stage, which is systemic therapy. Prior to 2007, the only systemic therapy available for HCC was the cytotoxic chemotherapy, especially doxorubicin, 5-fluorouracil, cisplatin, and etoposide, and this had dismal results. And some of the trials even suggested that if you give chemotherapy, it's a cytotoxic chemotherapy, their survival or also their quality of life becomes poorer if you compare to those who do not receive this. But after 2007, the drug which revolutionized the treatment of HCC was sorafenib. It is a VEGF receptor antagonist, and it was anti-angiogenic drug. And for about 10 years, this was the sole drug which was used as chemotherapeutic agent. And even it was very convenient to use oral therapy, and even patients, even hepatologists can prescribe. After 2017, a new group of drugs came into existence, that was checkpoint inhibitors, that is immunotherapy. I'll come to it later. So the timeline of HCC systemic therapy from sorafenib was introduced in 2007, and after that, for about 10 years, there have been multiple trials of various tyrosine kinase inhibitors as compared to sorafenib, but none of them could be found to be superior to sorafenib. And the sorafenib continued to be the sole drug for treating HCC. From 2017 onwards, there have been now multiple drugs which can be used as first-line agents, second-line agents, and these are grouped as tyrosine kinase inhibitors as well as immunotherapy agents. So how does tyrosine kinase inhibitors act? There are multiple dysregulated pathways in HCC. Some pathways are dysregulated in the form of dysfunctional growth factors like RAS and RAF kinase pathways, where there's upregulation of VEGF, platelet-derived growth factors, fibroblast growth factors. So many growth factors become upregulated. Similarly, there can be dysregulated JAK-STAT pathways, TGF beta signaling pathways, and WNT beta catenin pathways. So any of these pathways can become dysregulated, and this will lead to dysregulation of proliferation, apoptosis, cell cycle, or cell differentiation, leading to hepatocellular carcinoma and its various metastases. To take care of the growth factor pathways, various drugs were introduced like sorafenib, lenvatinib, which actually block the VEGFR, and along with this, many other receptors which are blocked by these drugs, and they are effectively they are able to control HCC. And the other modality, which is the checkpoint inhibitors, for this in the 2018 Nobel Prize was given to Dr. Allison and Honjo for discovering the checkpoint inhibitors. So what are checkpoint inhibitors? So in any tumor, there will be an immune response. So the T cell will try to recognize the tumor by MHC and T cell receptor, and then it will try to destroy that tumor. But this is not as simple as that, because not only by these T cell receptor will be identified by MHC, there are multiple other receptors which also act. For example, there could be CD137, CD80, PDL1, CTLA receptors, and half of these receptors are known as co-stimulatory. That means these will stimulate the T cell and will help in destroying the tumor cell. But other half of these receptors are actually co-inhibitory. So they will not, so tumor will try to prevent its destruction, and it will actually lead to inactivation of the T cells. And most of the time in the cancers, this co-inhibitory molecules are much more active, and these are also known as checkpoints. So these checkpoints prevent T cell from destroying the tumor cells. And especially CTLA4, PD1, and PDL1 are the most important checkpoints. And they have been, so to block these checkpoints, checkpoint inhibitors have been introduced. And with when checkpoint inhibitors are acting, then this will lead to destruction of tumors by the T cells. So this is actually augmenting immune response of the body to destroy the tumor cells. So coming to what is the first line chemotherapy, systemic therapy agent for the HCC in the current days? The first line is atezolizumab, bevacizumab combination, lenvatinib, and sorafenib. So I'll come to all of these one by one. So atezolizumab and bevacizumab, both of them are monoclonal antibodies. This atezo is actually PDL1 blocker, which is an immune checkpoint inhibitor, while the bevacizumab is a VEGF, that means anti-angiogenic agent. It prevents angiogenesis. The dose of atezo is 1200 milligram given every 3 weeks, and the dose of bevacizumab is 15 milligram per kg body weight. So the evidence for these two drugs came in, which was published in 2020 May in the NEJM. The study was known as IM Brave study, where they had recruited about 501 patients at multi-center in the European centers, where to one group they gave atezo and bevacizumab combination, and the other group received sorafenib, and the treatment was continued till either progressive disease or intolerable toxicity. The endpoints was overall survival and progressive-free survival. as we can see, the most of these patients were about had age of 64. Most of them had macrovascular invasion and spread. Yeah, I'll finish in with a few slides. And most of them had received about 50% had received prior local therapy. The results of this was that atezo bevacizumab combination was superior in increasing the overall survival as compared to sorafenib, and it also increased the median progression-free survival. So the median survival of sorafenib was about 13 months, but the median survival of the combination was more than 18 months. And also the quality of life with the combination was much better than the sorafenib. The adverse effect profile of the atezo and bevacizumab combination was much better than sorafenib, with very less frequency of diarrhea and hypertension as compared to sorafenib, which also had hand-foot-mouth syndrome. Coming to the other two drugs, lenvatinib and sorafenib. Lenvatinib was introduced after the REFLECT trial, where it was compared with sorafenib. It was a non-inferiority trial in about 900 patients, open-label trial in patients who had extrahepatic as well as BCLC stage. The overall survival is similar as compared to sorafenib. Adverse effect profile was also similar, but there was better overall response rate, better tumor control rate. So lenvatinib was slightly superior to sorafenib. For sorafenib, we had two trials. One was SHARP trial and Asia Pacific trial, both published in 2008 and 2009, and they were compared with placebo and found to be superior. The adverse effect profile of lenvatinib and sorafenib are almost similar, with about 1/3 of them requiring dose reduction due to various reasons like hand-foot-mouth syndrome or hypertension. So first-line therapy in the current era is atezo bevacizumab combination. And if this is not available, if the patient cannot receive this due to cost consideration, and he can receive either lenvatinib or sorafenib. And the median overall survival as compared to the patients who were enrolled in trials in 2007 to now in last 10 years has increased. Now the median overall survival is approximately 18 months in these patients who are receiving bevacizumab and atezo combination. If somehow this combination does not work, or the patient cannot receive it, then in the second line, the patient can receive sorafenib or lenvatinib. And if the patient does not benefit from these combinations, then there are multiple other drugs now, like regorafenib, ramucirumab, cabozantinib, and there can be various permutation and combination of these second line and third line agents which can be used. And what are the future perspectives? Now, more permutations and combinations of these newer drugs and novel therapy can be used, will be available soon as the first line therapy or the second line therapy. The second future perspective is that there'll be increased usage of biomarkers to guide the choice of drugs. For example, ramucirumab can be used only, is better, works in patients who have increased.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. We need to wind up.
Yeah, just last slides. With better works in patients who have increased AFP. Similarly, the third point is that sooner we'll be seeing increased earlier use of systemic therapy in combination with loco-regional therapy like TACE and TARE. So to summarize, ladies and gentlemen, in advanced HCC, which is defined by BCLC C stage, the current first-line therapy options are atezolizumab and bevacizumab, lenvatinib and sorafenib in this order. These drugs have increased the median overall survival of BCLC C stage to close to 18 months now. And in future, we will see many novel combination of drugs and drugs in combination with local regional therapy. And these are expected to further increase the survival of advanced HCC. Thank you for your patient hearing.
Thank you, sir. We'll have question after the next.